Take a deep breath and listen carefully. Today, are not just studying English. You are going to shadow a native speaker. Not grammar first, not memorizing words, just listening, repeating, and speaking naturally. This is how real fluency slowly begins. So don't worry about mistakes. Don't try to sound perfect yet. Just relax and follow the voice. Speak with me, slowly, calmly, naturally. Copy the rhythm. Copy the feeling. Copy the pronunciation. I didn't expect the place to be so crowded tonight. I didn't expect the place to be so crowded tonight. She looked at me and quietly smiled. She looked at me and quietly smiled. I almost forgot what I wanted to say. I almost forgot what I wanted to say. The music in here feels really relaxing tonight. The music in here feels really relaxing tonight. He suddenly stopped talking and checked his phone. He suddenly stopped talking and checked his phone. That sounds a little more difficult than I imagined. That sounds a little more difficult than I imagined. I wasn't ready for that kind of question. I wasn't ready for that kind of question. The weather changed so quickly this afternoon. The weather changed so quickly this afternoon. I think we took the wrong road somewhere. I think we took the wrong road somewhere. She didn't seem happy about the decision. She didn't seem happy about the decision. I kept thinking about that conversation all day. I kept thinking about that conversation all day. The lights outside look beautiful from here. The lights outside look beautiful from here. I honestly didn't know how to respond at first. He sounded much calmer after a few minutes. He sounded much calmer after a few minutes. This place feels different during the evening hours. This place feels different during the evening hours. I noticed something strange while we were waiting. I noticed something strange while we were waiting. She quietly walked away without saying anything. She quietly walked away without saying anything. I didn't realize how late it had become. I didn't realize how late it had become. The whole situation became awkward very quickly. The whole situation became awkward very quickly. I wasn't really paying attention at that moment. I wasn't really paying attention at that moment. I stepped outside and the air felt unexpectedly cold. I stepped outside and the air felt unexpectedly cold. The conversation shifted before anyone even realized it. The conversation shifted before anyone even realized it. She kept her voice low, as if someone might overhear. She kept her voice low, as if someone might overhear. I noticed a change in his expression, almost instantly. I noticed a change in his expression, almost instantly. The room felt heavier after that one sentence. The room felt heavier after that one sentence. He didn't respond right away, just stayed quiet for a moment. He didn't respond right away, just stayed quiet for a moment. Everything sounded simple until I tried it myself. Everything sounded simple until I tried it myself. She walked past me without making any eye contact. She walked past me without making any eye contact. I could sense something was off even before they said anything. I could sense something was off even before they said anything. The timing felt completely wrong for that kind of talk. The timing felt completely wrong for that kind of talk. He adjusted his tone, and suddenly everything changed. He adjusted his tone, and suddenly everything changed. I kept replaying the moment in my head again and again. I kept replaying the moment in my head again and again. The silence between us started to feel uncomfortable. The silence between us started to feel uncomfortable. She hesitated for a second, then changed her answer. She hesitated for a second, then changed her answer. I wasn't prepared for that reaction at all. I wasn't prepared for that reaction at all. The situation escalated much faster than expected. The situation escalated much faster than expected. He looked uncertain, but tried to stay calm. He looked uncertain, but tried to stay calm. I felt a strange calmness in that moment. I felt a strange calmness in that moment. The atmosphere slowly changed without any clear reason. The atmosphere slowly changed without any clear reason. She paused mid-sentence, as if choosing her words carefully. She paused mid-sentence, as if choosing her words carefully. I couldn't fully understand what was happening around me. I couldn't fully understand what was happening around me. His reaction felt unexpected, yet honest. His reaction felt unexpected, yet honest. The message came through at the worst possible time. The message came through at the worst possible time. I stayed quiet, just observing everything carefully. I stayed quiet, just observing everything carefully. The room suddenly felt smaller than it actually was. The room suddenly felt smaller than it actually was. She avoided the question without saying it directly. She avoided the question without saying it directly. I realized something important a bit too late. I realized something important a bit too late. The words didn't come out easily, but I still tried. The words didn't come out easily, but I still tried. He gave a short reply and looked away quickly. He gave a short reply and looked away quickly. The moment passed slowly, almost too slowly. The moment passed slowly, almost too slowly. I could feel the tension rising with every second. I could feel the tension rising with every second. She seemed distracted by something unspoken. She seemed distracted by something unspoken. The decision didn't feel final, but it was made. The decision didn't feel final, but it was made. I tried to stay focused, but kept drifting away. I tried to stay focused, but kept drifting away. His words carried weight, more than expected. His words carried weight, more than expected. The conversation took a strange turn halfway through. The conversation took a strange turn halfway through. I didn't interrupt, even when I wanted to. I didn't interrupt, even when I wanted to. She looked uncertain again, before answering softly. She looked uncertain again, before answering softly. The environment felt unfamiliar, yet strangely calm. The environment felt unfamiliar, yet strangely calm. I sensed a hidden meaning behind his words. I sensed a hidden meaning behind his words. The moment felt longer than it actually was. The moment felt longer than it actually was. He changed the topic suddenly, without warning. He changed the topic suddenly, without warning. I wasn't sure what to say, so I stayed quiet. I wasn't sure what to say, so I stayed quiet. The situation slowly settled. After a few minutes, the situation slowly settled. After a few minutes, she gave a slight nod and walked away calmly. She gave a slight nod and walked away calmly. I could tell something changed, even if no one said it. I could tell something changed, even if no one said it. The night felt unusually quiet, almost too quiet. The night felt unusually quiet, almost too quiet. He spoke in a softer tone than before. He spoke in a softer tone than before. I kept looking around, trying to understand everything. I kept looking around, trying to understand everything. The energy in the room felt different suddenly. The energy in the room felt different suddenly. She finished her sentence and didn't continue further. She finished her sentence and didn't continue further. I stayed there for a moment before moving on. I stayed there for a moment before moving on. The feeling stayed with me longer than expected. The feeling stayed with me longer than expected. I didn't expect the answer to be so simple. I didn't expect the answer to be so simple. The moment felt heavier than I thought. The moment felt heavier than I thought. She lowered her voice slightly as the room got quieter. She lowered her voice slightly as the room got quieter. I kept listening carefully without interrupting once. I kept listening carefully without interrupting once. The idea suddenly made more sense. After a pause, the idea suddenly made more sense. After a pause, he stepped back and looked at everything again. He stepped back and looked at everything again. The words came out slowly, but clearly understood. The words came out slowly, but clearly understood. I noticed a small detail that changed everything. I noticed a small detail that changed everything. She didn't explain much, just smiled lightly. She didn't explain much, just smiled lightly. The situation felt a bit strange, but manageable. The situation felt a bit strange, but manageable. I stayed focused, even when it got confusing. I stayed focused, even when it got confusing. His reaction changed suddenly, without any warning. His reaction changed suddenly, without any warning. The conversation kept shifting from one point to another. The conversation kept shifting from one point to another. I tried to understand better, step by step. I tried to understand better, step by step. The moment passed slowly, like nothing was rushed. The moment passed slowly, like nothing was rushed. She gave a small pause before continuing again. She gave a small pause before continuing again. I could feel the change in the atmosphere. I could feel the change in the atmosphere. The answer wasn't direct, but still clear enough. The answer wasn't direct, but still clear enough. He looked down briefly, then spoke again. He looked down briefly, then spoke again. The sound outside faded slowly into silence. The sound outside faded slowly into silence. I wasn't expecting that reaction at all. I wasn't expecting that reaction at all. The meaning became clearer after a short silence. The meaning became clearer after a short silence. She adjusted her words very carefully. She adjusted her words very carefully. The feeling stayed with me for a long time. The feeling stayed with me for a long time. I kept thinking quietly without saying anything. I kept thinking quietly without saying anything. The moment felt different in a subtle way. The moment felt different in a subtle way. He changed direction suddenly, mid-conversation. He changed direction suddenly, mid-conversation. I noticed hesitation in his voice, very small. I noticed hesitation in his voice, very small. The answer didn't satisfy me completely. The answer didn't satisfy me completely. She looked away quickly as she spoke. She looked away quickly as she spoke. I stayed silent again, just observing. I stayed silent again, just observing. The situation became clearer after a while. The situation became clearer after a while. He paused longer than usual before replying. He paused longer than usual before replying. The room felt calmer after everything. The room felt calmer after everything. I wasn't fully convinced, but I listened. I wasn't fully convinced, but I listened. She spoke softly again, with a steady tone. She spoke softly again, with a steady tone. The idea started forming in my mind. The idea started forming in my mind. I kept watching closely, every small detail. I kept watching closely, every small detail. The answer came slowly, like it needed time. The answer came slowly, like it needed time. He shifted his position and stayed quiet. He shifted his position and stayed quiet. The tension reduced slightly, but still remained. The tension reduced slightly, but still remained. I didn't respond immediately, just thought first. I didn't respond immediately, just thought first. She ended her sentence with a soft pause. She ended her sentence with a soft pause. The moment didn't feel rushed at any point. The moment didn't feel rushed at any point. I tried to stay calm, even inside confusion. I tried to stay calm, even inside confusion. The answer made me think more deeply. The answer made me think more deeply. He spoke again slowly, breaking each word. He spoke again slowly, breaking each word. The situation felt balanced. After some time, The situation felt balanced. After some time, I noticed his expression again, slightly different. I noticed his expression again, slightly different. She didn't add more words, just nodded slightly. She didn't add more words, just nodded slightly. The thought stayed in my mind for hours. The thought stayed in my mind for hours. I listened without distraction, fully present. I listened without distraction, fully present. The moment felt complete, yet unfinished somehow. The moment felt complete, yet unfinished somehow. He looked uncertain again, but continued speaking. He looked uncertain again, but continued speaking. The conversation slowed down naturally, without effort. The conversation slowed down naturally, without effort. I kept my focus steady, through everything. I kept my focus steady, through everything. She finished quietly, and looked forward. She finished quietly, and looked forward. The meaning finally settled, in my understanding. The meaning finally settled, in my understanding. The decision carried more weight than anyone admitted. The decision carried more weight than anyone admitted. I could sense a hidden pattern behind every explanation. I could sense a hidden pattern behind every explanation. The outcome depended entirely on how carefully we listened. The outcome depended entirely on how carefully we listened. She rephrased her thoughts, as if searching for precision. She rephrased her thoughts, as if searching for precision. The contradiction became obvious after a closer look. The contradiction became obvious after a closer look. I noticed a subtle shift in his reasoning. I noticed a subtle shift in his reasoning. Everything aligned unexpectedly at the right moment. Everything aligned unexpectedly at the right moment. The argument lost strength when details were added. The argument lost strength when details were added. He interpreted the situation differently, without hesitation. He interpreted the situation differently, without hesitation. The explanation unfolded gradually, with layered meaning. The explanation unfolded gradually, with layered meaning. I questioned the logic behind that conclusion. I questioned the logic behind that conclusion. The perspective changed completely after reconsideration. The perspective changed completely after reconsideration. She articulated her point with quiet confidence. She articulated her point with quiet confidence. The complexity became clearer through repetition. The complexity became clearer through repetition. I observed the pattern carefully before responding. I observed the pattern carefully before responding. The structure didn't collapse. It evolved instead. The structure didn't collapse. It evolved instead. He analyzed the situation deeply without rushing. He analyzed the situation deeply without rushing. The meaning shifted slightly, depending on context. The meaning shifted slightly, depending on context. I revisited the assumption and questioned everything. I revisited the assumption and questioned everything. The clarity arrived slowly, not instantly. The clarity arrived slowly, not instantly. She refined her explanation, step by step. She refined her explanation, step by step. The reasoning became stronger with each detail. The reasoning became stronger with each detail. I examined the contradiction from multiple angles. I examined the contradiction from multiple angles. The interpretation varied across different viewpoints. The interpretation varied across different viewpoints. He constructed his argument very carefully. He constructed his argument very carefully. The uncertainty decreased as evidence appeared. The uncertainty decreased as evidence appeared. I aligned the facts before forming an opinion. I aligned the facts before forming an opinion. The idea matured slowly, under reflection. The idea matured slowly, under reflection. She questioned the assumption without hesitation. She questioned the assumption without hesitation. The explanation required depth, not speed. The explanation required depth, not speed. I reconsidered my position more than once. I reconsidered my position more than once. The conclusion felt premature, under scrutiny. The conclusion felt premature, under scrutiny. He separated emotion from reasoning carefully. He separated emotion from reasoning carefully. The analysis revealed layers not visible before. The analysis revealed layers not visible before. I evaluated every detail with full attention. I evaluated every detail with full attention. The structure held firm despite pressure. The structure held firm despite pressure. She adjusted her framework to fit reality. She adjusted her framework to fit reality. The discussion deepened further with each exchange. The discussion deepened further with each exchange. I traced the logic back to its origin. I traced the logic back to its origin. The interpretation became unstable under pressure. The interpretation became unstable under pressure. He clarified his stance without over-explaining. He clarified his stance without over-explaining. The assumption weakened after testing it. The assumption weakened after testing it. I noticed inconsistencies in the explanation. I noticed inconsistencies in the explanation. The reasoning stabilized after correction. The reasoning stabilized after correction. She structured her thoughts in layers. She structured her thoughts in layers. And now, slowly, we are reaching the end of today's shadowing practice. But don't treat this as the end of your learning, because real progress happens in repetition, in small, daily moments. Every time you listen and repeat, your brain becomes more familiar with natural English rhythm, and slowly, you stop translating. You start understanding directly in English. That's the real power of shadowing. So even if you made mistakes today, it's completely fine. What matters is consistency, not perfection. Just come back again tomorrow and speak a little more, a little better, a little smoother. And over time, you will feel the change without even noticing it. If this practice helped you, then like the video, subscribe to stay consistent, and support your learning journey. And you can also comment how you felt while shadowing today. Now take a small pause, breathe, and relax your mind. Keep practicing, keep listening, and keep speaking slowly, calmly, naturally. See you in the next shadowing session.